guys, today I'm going to rank my favorite authors' books. So today I have decided to do a video in which I rank Victoria Schwab's books. And this is one of the most painful things I have ever done. But I also thought it would be fun because maybe it's something that I can look back at in a couple of years when she has published more novels and I can kind of look at how I feel about them then. So I thought this would be a fun idea. I have 9 novels, so I'm not including her current middle grade releases because I haven't read them. I did not come up with this list beforehand, so I did not write it down before doing this. And I don't really need to think about the first few ones, but I think the top 5 or so are gonna be a real fucking challenge. I'm just gonna start with my least favorite. That said, I do really love all of her books. These are just really, compared to the other ones, not as good in my personal opinion. This is gonna be a discussion ground as well. So let's get started. The first one I have is, I feel like kind of unsurprisingly, The Near Witch. You can just really tell that this is her debut novel. What I really love about this one actually is that you can still already tell this is a Victoria Schwab book. It feels so much like a Victoria Schwab book. It has the writing, it has this whimsical feeling to it, and that's what I really truly love about The Near Witch. But as far as like the overall quality of the storyline and the pacing is very slow, it just is not nearly as good as any of her other novels. I know already this is gonna be a little bit controversial. My number 8 is Our Dark Duet. This is the first book after The Near Witch that I did not give 5 stars. The Near Witch was a 3-star book and Our Dark Duet is a 4-star book, so it's still an incredible book, but a lot of things about this actually disappointed me. And I mean, this is her, at the point where I'm filming this, her newest novel and also the one that I'm kind of most disappointed by. So that's an interesting development, but also one that I kind of appreciated in a way because it made me realize that I'm still capable of having like critical thoughts when it comes to her books. I just simply think Our Dark Duet is too long and too slow. And something about this duology and this book in particular just doesn't quite get me as much as some of her other books. I truly love the world building. I think the world building is my favorite part, but especially looking at what happens in this book, I love the characters, but I just do not really feel as emotionally invested as I am with some of the other characters. So, you know, some of the things that happen in this book, they didn't really touch me as much as other things. So this is my number 8. My number 7, I'm so scared to even mention this, is Vicious. As I said, all of the rest of the books are 5 stars. So I love Vicious so much, but Vicious is another one that I admire more for the amazing craft that Victoria Schwab kind of shows in this one, the amazing writing and storytelling, but it is also just not a book that speaks to my soul. It's more a book that I can objectively, well, also subjectively, I do truly love this and I think this is an amazing book, but it's definitely something where I more so just see the amazing craft that is this book and not really the emotional investment that I love so much. So this has to be my number 7. I'm actually very interested to see if that is going to change with Vengeful. My number 6 is This Savage Song. Now, as I said, this duology is one that I just really, really appreciate. I was almost saying this is my favorite world building. It's not, but it's maybe like my favorite idea in a way, like this thought of a world where violence breeds actual monsters. That's just something, like this concept is something that blows my mind every time. But as I said, I just simply cannot quite connect with the characters as I do in some of her other books. My number 5, I'm already sweating. This is heartbreaking, but I think my number 5 would have to be A Darker Shade of Magic. I think, yeah. Shades of Magic is one of my favorite trilogies and I truly, truly love this first book, and this is one of those books that I appreciated more when I read the sequel, and also just when I reread this the first time, I was already like, oh my god, like now I understand so many things so much better. But I think as far as emotional investment goes, it's just not quite up there with the other books that are left. So I think I'm gonna go with this as my number 5. Okay, this was still relatively easy. Okay, so now I can already tell which 2 books are gonna be either my number 3 and my number 4, and which books are gonna be my number 1 and my number 2. All I have to decide now is which is gonna be which in which category, if that makes sense. Okay, I think I have it. My number 4, with my number 4, I'm gonna go with The Archived. I think this kind of loses against the other book that might also have been number 4, simply because this is just a little bit, well, shorter, first of all. It is the first book, so it sets up the world and it sets up the characters. I mean, I love this book so much and it means so much to me. And this is one of those books that like speaks to my soul, and like it makes me cry several times throughout it, just like in random places, just because I love it. Like, you know, these books that just make you cry sometimes while you're reading them, just because you're like, oh my god, I love this so much. That's The Archive for me, 100%. But it is the first book. It is a book that sets things up. Also, I am a person that loves romance, and this one has not enough of that, or just certainly not as much as my number 3, which is A Gathering of Shadows. This is, I think, definitely the book that kind of made me fall in love with Shades of Magic as much as I am today. Already being familiar with the world and the characters, and then actually getting to like 100% dive into this was just amazing. And I know a lot of people hate this because it's slow, but for me it's like the opposite. For me, getting to be with these characters in situations that are not scary, in situations that I am just able to get to know them as if I'm just sitting with them having a chat or having coffee, that's just so wonderful. And I just think I was already so in love with these characters at this point that is why I love this book so much. It gives me the time to explore these characters so much more. With the last 2 that I now have left, I think for a lot of people this would be a very obvious choice. Conjuring of Light is a book with over 600 pages. It is the actual final end of a trilogy, and it is an amazing series ender. But for me, The Unbound is a book that I'm not gonna cry. I made it this far, come on. The Unbound is truly a book that, like, I'm speechless. I don't even know how to talk about it. So this really is not as easy as it might seem for some other people. Like, I don't know, just imagine the book that made you realize how much reading can make your life a better place, and how much reading can help you escape some of your daily life. That book is The Unbound for me. So choosing between that and A Conjuring of Light is an incredibly hard thing for me to do. Especially looking back at when I reread The Unbound in November or December. I finished this book and I bawled my eyes out. Not quite as much as I did with A Conjuring of Light, but A Conjuring of Light is a serious ending. The Unbound is not officially the ending of a series. It does have a good ending, but it's not so much this goodbye to the characters. It is still something where you're like, oh, I might see these people again. Whereas A Conjuring of Light, well, we're also gonna see these characters again, but not from their point of view. So, you know, A Conjuring of Light feels very much like a goodbye, whereas The Unbound still feels kind of open and there's so many opportunities left. But still, it made me bawl my eyes out because I love it so much. Anyway, okay, I think I've made my decision. I still think in the end I have to go with The Unbound being my number 2. I think I now, while discussing which one is my number 1 and my number 2, talked enough about why I love this and what this means to me. So that leaves A Conjuring of Light as my number 1. I feel like most of you are probably gonna be like, girl, I knew that long before you knew. What's so special about this one is how many storylines it brings together and on how many characters this focuses. I mean, really, every character that we have that kind of is an important character gets a good storyline and a good ending. and everybody just kind of really gets the time that they need in this one. Like, I still think this is a perfect ending, what it does with the world, but how it also leaves all of this open to make more books in this world happen. A world that is truly remarkable, a world that I think all of us would be so sad to say goodbye. Like, even if we had to say goodbye to all of the characters, which we know we don't have to, we know all of the surviving characters are gonna be in Threads of Power, but like, I feel like even if we would never see any of these characters again, we would still be sad to also never see this world again. This world is just wonderful and amazing and offers so much more opportunity to discover. And then, you know, just learning about Holland and his past, how he became the person that he is today, is also something that's very dear and close to my heart. I mean, I've been talking about how amazing that character is since the first book. So seeing his story kind of unfold in here, and also the way his storyline ends in this book, is simply amazing. That basically goes for every single character, and I love the way the romance between Ryan Alucard was written in here. I also love the way the romance between Kel and Lila was. I don't like how. I don't. Not many people get such an amazing ending to their favorite series or their favorite trilogy, and I'm truly just so thankful that this is the ending that we got, because this is the ending that we deserve, and I'm just happy. Anyway, this is my order of Victoria Schwab books from least to most favorite. Obviously, now I want to know your ranking, and it doesn't matter if you've read, 3 of her books or also all of these books. I just want to know from the books that you have read the way you would rank them, and if you agree or disagree, or in general, maybe if you've only read one of these books, let me know if you agree or disagree with my opinion on the book. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!